Hey guys, welcome to the Perfectly Wasted Podcast. I'm the host, DullOxide. Today is episode 40 on sugar tax. You can find all my previous episodes on the Drinking Wisemen YouTube channel, along with my bi-weekly podcast, Brew the Truth, my day-to-day photos and cosplay photos on my Instagram at DullOxide. Now, the reason I wanted to talk a little bit about sugar taxes is because just recently Seattle passed a tax for 1.75 cents per ounce on sugary drinks. Now, what does that mean? It means basically if you're drinking like a regular soda, you're going to be charged almost double for your soda that you would out of almost any other state. If your product is not like 99% juice, for instance, you're going to be getting an extra surcharge on it. Diet sodas and things that have sugar alternatives are all exempt. And this, for now, from what I understand, is only on sugary drinks. And while I agree that this is definitely a good start on trying to get people to stop consuming very high sugar content drinks, I don't think it's actually going to stop many people who just want a sugary drink. So, based on previous efforts in different states and in different countries, there have been decreases for these types of taxes. They do appear to work to an extent. So I want to make some comparisons to some of the other taxes that are out there just to kind of give everyone a little bit of a view of what exactly happens with these types of things, just so you have an idea of where this could go. So as most of us probably know, there's a pretty high tax on tobacco. All right, so most tobacco products, cigarettes specifically, are taxed very, very high. Now, because of this tax, we've seen the cost of cigarettes go up tremendously over the years. And while there has been a decline in people smoking, and while they have implemented new laws to stop people smoking in restaurants, the collective efforts haven't stopped people from smoking altogether. Now, we've known since probably the 60s and 70s that tobacco is not very good for you. All right? That's about 50 years of people knowing that a substance is bad for them, that they have not stopped purchasing and consuming these products. All right? So we know it's bad, we know it kills you, we know how it kills you, and yet people will still shell out almost double the price of a pack to be able to buy cigarettes depending on the state. So it's kind of something that doesn't seem to be working in my opinion. And, I don't know what else you could possibly do to stop people from smoking besides just stopping the production of cigarettes maybe. But since that's not going to happen, just as much as they're not going to stop producing sugary drinks, people are going to continue to kill themselves, even though the tax on this is basically doubling the price at this point. And that's only in some states. Not every state is the price doubled, but it's the same kind of idea right now where we're going with this sugar tax. They are in some states essentially doubling the prices of sugary drinks, which again is a great start to get people to stop. But if tobacco is any indicator, it's not going to get anyone to stop anytime soon just by doubling it. So another thing I want to compare it to is alcohol. Obviously, if you went to a public school, you may or may not actually know this, but in the 1920s and the 1930s, when Prohibition was a big thing, they basically tried to stop the consumption of alcohol. So, essentially today, there is still some way that they're trying to stop consumption or trying to limit consumption with different types of taxes on alcohol. And actually, in Washington, I believe, has the highest tax, which is about 26 cents per ounce from the information that I could find if you're going by gallon. That's 26 cents per ounce of gallon of alcohol. So you're basically looking at like a pretty tremendous increase on the cost of alcohol in that state. And while that might have reduced the amount of alcohol consumption inside of the state, at the same time, it doesn't stop it. None of these taxes stop it from happening. It's just a way to try and make it so that people take a second look at these things. And while I totally agree people should be taking a second look, and while I believe that the majority of these taxes were put into place because they think that they're going to be as effective as possible for their cause, which in the current case that we're talking about would be the fight against sugary substances, I again think if enough people stand up to it, it's just not going to happen. the proof is in the pudding here. Obviously we still have alcohol. Obviously, even though we know alcohol can kill and maybe is not as harmful, and I would be willing to say myself, I don't believe alcohol is as harmful as tobacco is, but that's just my own opinion. And even though we know that these are harmful substances, and we know that tobacco can kill you, alcohol can kill you if you intake too much, or can cause serious birth defects, or any number of anything else. Anything in excess can kill you. We know this. I think cigarettes compared to alcohol are not really the best comparison, but knowing that both of these things can kill you and that sugary substances can eventually kill you, we also know that no tax is going to stop people from consuming them based on history. So, taking a look at history, we just know this. This is something that we see to be true because people are never going to stop consuming things they like. And it's just the proof of the American way, basically. If you make money and you want to spend it on what you want to spend it on, you're allowed to. And that's just the way it works. Instead of trying to pussyfoot around the problem like the US currently is with sugar taxes and alcohol taxes and tobacco taxes, maybe they should try and come up with an actual solution. Now, obviously, they're not going to be able to stop tobacco. They haven't been able to do it in 50 years. They're not going to be able to stop alcohol. They haven't been able to do it in even longer than 50 years. But something that they could totally do with food is maybe, besides just taxing sugary drinks, tax everything that's sugary. And now, that of course sounds a little bit extreme, but there's not very many other alternatives. For instance, if you start taxing people based off of like their body fat percentage, then that might not be exactly fair to everyone. Probably be effective though. The reason why is because if you can't get things because you can't afford them, then you're not going to eat them. If the only things that you can afford are healthier substitutes, then you're going to eat healthier substitutes or you're going to put yourself bankrupt. And based on all of these other taxes, essentially that's what they're looking to do. They're essentially looking to make it so that you can't afford these specific items, and because you can't afford them, you're just not buying them or you're looking for substitutes already. And it seems to work effectively. So I'm kind of wondering at what point they're going to go towards the next step and start taxing people how they should be appropriately for these types of items. And if that means that all things that have high amounts of sugar in them are taxed higher, then maybe that's what needs to happen. But I kind of feel like that's the whole being punished for the few. If we're trying to make America healthier, maybe they should implement some kind of health programs that America has. Like, I don't know, cost-effective gyms that people have to sign up for if they're over a certain poundage. And I'm not saying that just weight specifically is something that makes you unhealthy, but it is something that makes your life more difficult. And obviously there are some people that have medical conditions that cause them to be a little bit heavier than some, and those types of people should be looked at in a different light. And maybe this isn't even the right way to go about it. Maybe instead they should just have it so that there are just government facilities where people could go and just, get healthy or get health advice at any given time, maybe go work out, bring the family to, try and lose a little bit of weight. If we had places that were like this, that were looking out for our health and not necessarily just like a tax to penalize us for it, then maybe we'd be able to take a couple of steps forward instead of steps backwards. So I'm not sure what the best way to go about this is. It seems like it's kind of up in the air, but I don't think that a sugar tax is going to really stop very many people, especially because the end result is just going to be that people are going to start using more sugar substitutes, and with the sugar substitutes, you're going to have all the different scares that come with them. People are going to think that they're causing cancer, or they're causing lupus, or whatever the fuck else you want to believe that they cause, they're going to think that they're starting to cause. So all this being said, going back again to this sugar tax, and I think people don't take this seriously enough, you are literally killing yourself by consuming certain things, okay? And that's the way I feel about it. So if we were able to go through and put a tax on, like I said, on body fat, and charge people that are heavier more, then the end result is going to be the richest people who are heavier are still going to be able to get what they want. But the majority of people are going to not be able to purchase the things that they want to be able to eat, basically, that they're craving. And while that might make people unhappy and might make them hate the law a little bit, it also might save their lives, okay? So I know that's like not the most delicate way of putting things, and I know it's definitely never going to happen because essentially anytime that we make any progress towards trying to make America lose weight, we just have to go right back on it because it just doesn't seem to work. So, if you have an opinion on this, please do let me know. I'd be happy to hear about it. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Please comment below. And thanks again for watching. That was 10 minutes perfectly wasted.